Before going to sleep, I look at the ceiling in the dark, and this ceiling has little dragonflies. There are dragonflies on my ceiling because the people who renovated my home thought it would be a child's room. And yet, this ceiling with the dragonflies, if you stay awake long enough, disappears. And what's left is a clean sky with stars and an endless universe. That unreachable universe has turned its back on me, doesn't know about me, and terrifies me with its sizes I can't even imagine. When I look at the horizon on Earth, I know that any point I see, I could reach. I won't do it out of laziness, but I could if I wanted to. When I watch documentaries about distant countries, I know I can get there too, try to save money, and end up under palm trees, on white sand, or in the mountains. But when I can't sleep, or when at night I look up at the sky, the sight of it terrifies me. Because everything I see up there, I will never be able to touch. Those distances are immense, yet even they are nothing, because they're measurable. What frightens me is only that I have a limit. I can't reach them because life is finite. All those light years and parsecs and the impossibility of exceeding the speed of light, it isn't a restriction. It wouldn't be a problem for anyone if we lived forever. What difference would it make how long it takes to get to the Magellanic Cloud if infinity were in your hands? 2 years or 500,000 years? What does it matter whether you're idling on planet Earth or on a spaceship? If you know for sure that sooner or later you'll get somewhere. And you definitely will get somewhere because you have eternal life. But there is no eternal life. And that's what's frightening. Not that you didn't have time to do something or achieve something, but that no matter what you do, you will still die. You can be a great inventor, a composer, a darling of fortune, and then accidentally end up in a car crash. You're on your way to a symposium where they're going to hand you an award, something like an Oscar, but in the scientific world, and bam, a head-on collision, and that's it. You're gone. And what's frightening isn't that you didn't get the statue, or that you'll walk the roadside as a ghost, upset you didn't make it those last 10 kilometers. What's frightening is that you won't be doing any of that. You won't be a ghost. You won't regret anything, or think, I lived a good, decent life. You simply won't exist, because death is the end. I don't understand why people think of death as non-being, as some other kind of existence, as if you'll sit on a cloud watching your relatives, following political events, or playing chess with Schopenhauer. Some think they'll roam as a ghost, shift into the astral plane. Some think they're atheists and don't believe in this nonsense, so they'll float in enveloping nothingness, in silence and peace. No one will float anywhere, because consciousness does not survive death. No one will look at themselves from the outside, glance back at their life, and say, yeah, it was all right, or no, I lived a meaningless life. Either we misunderstand the nature of death, or you know something but aren't telling. Because according to modern science, death is not the opposite of life. It's not some other form of existence. It's not the dark side of the Force. Death is the end of life. If life is plus, then death is not minus. It's zero. You don't cross to another side. You don't reincarnate. You simply vanish, disappear, reset, cease to exist. And that is the most depressing thought that comes to me. And it comes constantly. It amazes me that people get offended when they're called fat or imperfect. With today's level of self-improvement, you can change almost everything about yourself. Anything you can be insulted for, you can lose weight if they call you fat. You can successfully pretend to be an intellectual if they call you stupid. You can even correct your physical flaws surgically. It's expensive, sure, but in essence, you have the power to earn the money and fix your nose or your bite. Even if they call you a racial slur, you can move to Africa and feel at home there. If racism burns you that badly, everything can be changed. Except the one fact: we all die. So I think the darkest insult, one you can't counter, is simply, you will die. And people don't use it only because you can just as easily hear back, and you will die too. But all this is idle talk, as long as you just say the words death and die without thinking what they mean. And all this means almost nothing. Even when you encounter death in real life, what's truly terrifying, I honestly don't know if you feel it, is when you realize you will die. You, personally, and me, and everyone we know and love, they will all die. And this isn't a conversation about how maybe some of us will escape it. When I judge or criticize someone, you can safely assume I don't mean you personally. Everyone around except you. But when I say you will all die, I'm talking directly to you. And that's the most horrible and the saddest thing. The end of any story is the saddest thing imaginable. The saddest thing humanity has ever described is death. Everything comes down to death. Capulet and Montague could have reconciled, but in the end, at 93 and 92, the story of Romeo and Juliet would still end with their deaths. And the story of each of us will end with death. I don't understand modern cinema and literature that, in stories about immortals, always emphasize some sort of boredom. Bored 600-year-old vampires, Duncan MacLeod's suffering from the monotony of eternal life, other beings burdened with immortality. But isn't it only immortality that gives meaning to everything? Isn't it only with immortality that anything is worth doing at all? You know, ultimately, when intellectuals talk about worthless billions of people, when activists scream that no one wants to save the Earth, in the very end, I understand most of humanity. Why bother? I try not to pollute the planet, but in the very last thought, I realize I don't care about deforestation in the Amazon. I don't care about the environment or the ozone layer. With all these problems of melting glaciers, it doesn't matter. I won't be alive. And when revolutionaries shout, "Overthrow the Tsar, he oppresses you," I do nothing, partly because the Tsar is mortal and I am mortal. Either the Tsar will die and everything will sort itself out, or I will die and won't care. Injustice won't last forever. I don't donate money for cancer research. A cure for cancer doesn't cure death. It just gives a few extra years. But sooner or later, both the healthy and the sick, we will all die. In a ruined and rotting world, your children will live and you will live on them, people will tell me. It's all pretty and literary. I love my children, but my children are not me. We do not live in our children. Don't believe me? Look at them. Why don't your children love the same music you do, or the same films, and why do they think you're stupid and outdated? Because your children are not you. Their personality is not an extension of yours. There is no immortality in children. They too will die. And their children, your grandchildren, will be even less like you. There's no life in memory either. After death, we don't live on in someone's heart, as the songs say. Our contribution to world history, even if we're a great politician, that's not us. That's other people's memories of us. It's images, records on paper, on film, documents, bills, letters, an old photo album. That's not us. We died, vanished into non-existence. Only traces remain. There was a person, and now there isn't. If we are our children's memory, our good deeds, the great novels we wrote, then why don't those things eat the cheese we loved, drink our favorite wine, sleep with red-haired women? We did all those things in life. Memories don't sleep with red-haired women because memories are not us. Gravestones, monuments, and phrases like, "Johnny was such a good man," that will all not be me. And immortality would have fixed all that. Not absolute immortality. Imagine you could only die a violent death. From illness, from a bullet, from an accident. But never from old age. We'd all become like elves from Peter Jackson's films, but better. Imagine the motivation to find cures for AIDS and cancer. Because the question wouldn't be, will you live 3 more years or a few decades? It would be, will you die or live forever? I personally would immediately start caring about the ozone layer and the Amazon forests. Because if something went wrong, then in the Mad Max world, It wouldn't be some theoretical descendants living there. It would be me, directly. Everything happening on the planet would concern me personally. I'd follow politics. If nothing changed, then both I and the dictator who depresses me, we'd be like that forever. And that's a completely different matter. Living under oppression forever is a completely different matter.
I'd watch my weight, because carrying a 150-kilogram body for even 150 years is unpleasant. I'd think about what to do to make myself famous and bask in glory, not about how soon death will take me. Maybe you won't understand me. Maybe this isn't close to you, but it's very close to me. It terrifies me. Every day, several times a day, I think about how soon death will take me, how soon it will take my wife, and what will I do then? Why should I do anything at all if sooner or later we'll die and never evaluate our own contribution, never know if our paintings became classics, if our poems are read, because immortality doesn't exist? Why should I try? Who needs my trace, my brilliant creations? Why should I care about the world, the environment, or cancer cures if I will die, inevitably die? It won't be a dream. I won't wander through new worlds. Nothing will happen. I won't think, feel, or reflect. The world will simply sink into darkness, without anything. No cold, no heat, no vacuum, no emptiness, no damp earth. I don't want to think about the future, because none of it is about me. I will die. I'll grow old, lie there looking at the ceiling, and then the light will simply go out, and the sound will fade, because that's the end.